Uh, Good afternoon. I'm Gail Ray, here for Mr. Mead.
Thank you. Ms. Ray, would you like to present before or after Mr. Meads?
I would probably like to present after Mr. Mead. I was not his attorney for this case. I have been handling a personal injury matter for him that occurred while he was incarcerated. So I'm more familiar with what occurred relative to his injury while he was incarcerated than any of the facts or relative to the case.
So so let me just clarify. You're here just if we have questions about his personal injury situation.
Right, and to give any information relative to the personal injury case. Yes, sir. Not as a representative on the
right personal injury. So if we have questions, we could ask you.
Yes, sir.
So I guess it won't be appropriate for you to give a statement at the end. If we have some questions about the personal injury situation, we'll ask you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Great, thanks. Go ahead.
And our other participant is Mr. Courtney Sawyer, who's a brother. At the end, Mr. Meads, you'll be allowed to make a brief statement before the board votes. Do you understand the process, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is the case for Robert Mead, classified as a first felony offender. Offense, attempt second-degree murder. Sentencing date, April 15, 1998. Sentenced to a total of 50 years. Parole date, August 1st, 2021. Good time, February 24th, 2046. And full term, February 19, 2047. Is this information correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Kelsey.
Mr. Meads, how you doing today?
All right. I'm all right, sir.
Okay, good. I'm going to ask you a few questions, sir. How old are you?
I'm 48 years old, sir.
And how long have you been incarcerated?
24 years and 11 months, sir.
24 years on a 50-year sentence, correct?
Yes, sir.
What's your the current status? Are you a trustee right there, or what's going on with you?
No, sir, I'm not a trustee because I still have numerous, years on my sentence. I have to have 10 years or less. But I work as a disabled assistant. I'm not a trustee.
What do you do?
I take care of disabled assistant. I push him to child, go to lunch, breakfast, supper. I push him to the lunchroom, and I used to bring him to the dialysis.
Okay, so like an orderly, I guess?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you have a high school diploma or GED?
No, sir. I went to school for numerous years from 2008 to 2015. And I was in school, but I laid there and dropped out because I had to work on my case, but I sent my test scores to Ms. Cheryl Ratanza, stipulating that I was in school, but I didn't get a
Right.
chance.
Well, we see you sent your stuff in. Do you have, it's in the chart. I'm asking you, have you completed it? Have you just took some classes during that time and weren't able to complete it, or what?
I wasn't able to complete it because the phone was dealing with the MAD, and then I was working on my case, trying to put something in court so I can be released, get some relief on my sentence and conviction. But I was in school numerous of years.
And so but you never got your GED. What grade did you drop out of high school school? What grade did you drop out of school when you were out?
11th grade.
Why'd you drop out?
When I dropped out, I stopped going to school. I just stopped going. It's like I gave up. And
Were drugs or alcohol involved, or what was?
No, sir. I just stopped going to school.
Just stop. For the heck of it, just stop.
Stopped going to school. I was kicked out of school. I had a fight in school, and then I was kind of behind. I was lacking in certain subjects. And my mother, she tried so much to raise me. My dad, he left us when we was young, and my mom tried to raise us, me and my brothers, and I just detoured. I fell to the wrong side of the path in life. So my mother tried to take care of us, a couple of boys in the house, so much she could do. I didn't have nobody, no father figure there for me, or my uncles, or somebody in my family, you know, the positive aspect to try to be there for me.
Okay, so you just dropped out of school and then just started, what did you start doing? You start working, start getting in trouble? What did you start doing?
I started working. I was working for Metro Constructions out of Shreveport, Louisiana. I worked for Patterson Pipeline out of Terrebonne Parish. Trico Marine out of Houma, Louisiana, also Terrebonne Parish. I was a rigger. I had several jobs, but I stopped going to school.
I got you. So what's your plans if you're to be released early?
My plans are, I'm going to work for Trusco. That's in Golden Meadow. Ernie Rusha, he's the boss, you know, owner of that company. Is a tank cleaning service. That's clean chemical tanks, and you know, based out of Golden Meadow, but you know the workers go to Food Shop.
Okay. Now, seeing here, I saw some hospital stays. Have you been in the hospital while you've been incarcerated?
Yes, sir. First, I was at sick dealing with pneumonia. That was in 2008. I think it was doing Gusto, and my finger was amputated in 2006, March 6, 2006.
So in 2006 and 2008. And how many fingers you have amputated?
2.5.
Are you able to use your hand?
Yes, sir. You know, I don't believe in no handicap. It's out, you know, even though my fingers are amputated, I still can work.
Okay.
I got to take care of my family and myself.
Sure. So tell me, this is a pretty significant crime. Tell me about the crime. I know you keep talking about you're working on your case. I read a letter where you're trying to say that some evidence was not right, and so what's going on? Tell me first about the crime. It's a pretty significant crime. What got you here in a hospital room with? Was that your girlfriend?
Yes, sir.
Is that your son?
My son, my stepson, he was in the hospital.
Okay, so tell me about how we got there.
Me, myself, and Marquita, we was dating for a year, and my son got sick. My stepson got sick. Her son, Anthony Johnson, he got sick with the spinal meningitis January 31st, and 1996, and he was admitted to the hospital, Leonard Sherbert Medical Center. And me and Marquita, we had differences. She wanted to break up with me, and I went to the hospital, see her and my stepson, and she told me she don't want me there no more to come visit, because when her son dad called from Florida, it'd be a misunderstanding, because they was thinking that I was his dad, because that's what I told him, dad in Florida. And when the dad was calling to the hospital, they told him he can't call no more, because his dad is Robert Meads. They didn't know nothing about Anthony Johnson, even though he told them that. So she told me, don't come over there no more, because, you know, they're having problems with his real dad and me. And she told me I can't come there no more. And I laid there and I done this heinous crime. I'm guilty. I'm very guilty of it. I'm very remorseful.
So what'd you do? So tell me what you did.
I shot Marquita, and I was wrong.
So you shot her, and what about, you hit your son? Hit your son in the face?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And she told you not to come, but you came anyway, is what you say.
Yes, sir.
Now, that's a pretty significant crime. What have you been doing to figure out why you committed that, and how you can, you know,
I was, sir, I was,
that not happen again?
sir, when this shit took place, I must admit that I was a weak man, because no person in their right mind, conscious mind, or go to no hospital, a place where a person go get help, a hospital save lives. And I went to that hospital and committed this heinous crime. I was wrong. I'm very remorseful for what took place at that day. Not only I hurted my family, Marquita and her family, it took a ripple effect on the whole community of Terrebonne Parish. And it should never happen. But I'm very remorseful for what took place. And I ask God every night, every day to forgive me for this. I not only I did, broke up my household. I failed as a man. A man's supposed to protect his household, build his household. I'm never supposed to hurt nobody I love. So I fell short as my duties as being protector and a man in my household. I was wrong and I'm guilty of it. I'm not the same person that I was 24 years and 11 months ago. I experienced.
So what have you done? What kind of classes, what kind of treatment, what have you done to help yourself? To help yourself, you hadn't got your GED. We know that. We know you've been working on doing some orderly work, and we know you are working on your case still. What have you taken? What type of classes have you taken? What self-help have you done? What have you done that has helped you throughout the years?
Cage of Rage. Cage of Rage is pertaining to courses that you learning to maintain and control your temper. You can be a better person in character. That's what Cage of Rage, the course I
Right.
took. The cage that's contain the anger, teach you to be a better person in character.
So what'd you learn about your anger?
Anger. I learned about my anger that you got to control that. You can't live a life as being angry. Experience takes a person a long way, and it took me a long way. And by me being in incarceration, I took advantage of the course. And by me being in a setting with other individuals as myself that's had these problems, everybody came together, myself and the individuals, and everybody knew that we got a problem, a serious problem. You got to contain that. That's the only way you can make it in life. That's how you get judged off your character. And that's what I laid down and learned. Anger. You got to control that, because they ain't going to get you nowhere. Get you in a worse situation. You stay in
Right.
a situation, you're going to keep bumping your head. You can't live off of no anger.
Well, that's good. Sounds like you're trying to figure it out. So in turn, I mean, I see you got a disciplinary rap as late as 2020. What I mean, and you trying to figure out your anger, it looks like, but it looks like a disobedience. So tell me about that. Doesn't that correlate with the anger that you're trying to learn about and control and not act out?
That write-up was dismissed, but I'm guilty of going to, after they counted, I remember I caught that when I caught that write-up, when I caught the write-up, I went to the water fountain, get some water, now to eat, because I don't go to child. So I came back through the door. After count clear, we can go to the water fountain and put some in a hot water dispenser so we can warm our food. And the sergeant, Miss Williams, wrote me up. She said that I went outside the door. She told me not to go outside the door. She didn't tell me. She told somebody else, but I didn't. I wasn't there. I went to get me some water because we can go. The rules and the regulation, go get some water, whatever, long as we not going to child. I had slippers on. I had shorts on. So she wrote me up, and the write-up got dismissed, got suspended.
Now, do you have any communication with your ex-girlfriend?
No, sir, I don't communicate with her. Can't do that. It's state. That's I think Louisiana Supreme
That's
Order.
right. That's right. I'm just
Yeah.
listening. Just listening to what you're saying. So what are your plans? Are your plans to go out? So you want to get out early, go to Golden Meadow and work. Where are you gonna live?
My mother, Miss Eula Meads, she live in Thibodeau, Louisiana. And I'm gonna stay with my mama till I lay there and get me somewhere to stay until I get on my, feet and this job. In about 2 months, I'm gonna get my own apartment. And then I'm gonna take, I can get some benefits by me being incarcerated over 5 years. If I can get a small business loan and all that. So I want to get me a hot shot.
Okay, the hot shot to drive to make a little money.
Cities and everything. Get me a 30-foot gooseneck trailer to put on back of the 3500 dually truck. My license.
It's gonna take a lot of money to get that going. That sounds like a plan, huh? Well, we there. Warden, you have any input for us?
No, so not a whole lot. I know I've been around here probably since Robert got here. He talked a little bit more today than I've ever heard him say. So he's pretty quiet around the compound. He don't get in a lot of trouble. He is correct in the little write up. It was suspended, so it kind of not sure how strong it was, but that's about all I can say, Mr. Kelly.
Okay. Answer Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson has some questions.
How you doing, Mr. Mead?
I'm okay, Ms. Jackson.
Okay. Mr. Mead, generally we don't focus so much on the crime that you're here for. We focus a lot more on what you've done since you've been there. But there are some things right now that are concerning to me. You've said that you accept responsibility for your actions, yet as recently as January the 4th of this year, you wrote a letter addressed to Mrs. Renatza that says your conviction and sentence were based upon the perjured testimony by the doctor who falsified medical records, reports, and falsified photographs of Miss Neely's injuries. How is that accepting responsibility when you're claiming that the doctor, who has no interest whatsoever, one way or the other, except to tell what he saw and what he did, you're claiming that he lied and made up all that stuff? How is that accepting responsibility?
I accept responsibility for my actions, but
Well, what were your actions? Because you're saying he perjured himself, Miss McNeely perjured themselves. So how are you accept? Because let's face it, there were a lot of people in that hospital when this happened, and there were a lot of witnesses. A man came into that room and saw you holding Miss McNeely by her neck in a chokehold with a gun to her head. You clicked, you shot maybe once, but you attempted to shoot multiple times and the weapon misfired. But you did in fact shoot and injure Miss McNeely. And there's an indication that her 3-year-old baby that has spinal meningitis, you hit him in the face with a gun when he saw you hurting his mama and he tried to come and help his mama, and you hit him in the face with a gun and caused a nasal cavity bleed. And you're worried about whether you shot her once or twice? That's your issue?
No, ma'am. I sent the reports and the initial reports to Ms. Ratanza to show
To show what?
that this did take place. Misinformation that took place in my case, but the victim
What difference does it make if you shot
Oh.
once or 50 times?
the person still was shot, and I'm guilty of it.
Exactly.
That's true.
And why would you accuse the doctor of lying and falsifying reports?
I didn't. It's true. That's why I sent the documents to Ms. Ratanza.
We're not, sir.
Not
We're
sir.
not, sir.
Not sir. I was thinking that I was doing the right thing by trying to help myself, but I didn't know that this was gonna hurt me by telling the truth.
Well, Mr. Mead, there were a lot of people in that hospital.
I know.
You had been up there several times. You had been told to leave. You came back, and in a fit of anger, you tried to kill Miss Neely. That's what you did. And you hit that 3-year-old baby who was suffering from spinal meningitis in the face with a gun. And so it concerns me that the only thing you're concerned about is whether or not they got the facts exactly right. There were a lot of witnesses there who all testified to the same thing. They saw you in that hospital with that gun. They heard shots fired. Miss McNeely sustained a gunshot wound through her breast, which, okay, well, you say no, but you know, that shows me that you haven't made a whole lot of progress, Mr. Mead.
Miss,
You're not accepting responsibility for what you did.
I accept.
Well, also, when this happened with Miss Neely at the hospital, you already had an aggravated battery charge pending. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you ended up pleading guilty to that aggravated battery in 1998, and you got a 10-year sentence on that to run concurrent with the 50 years that you were already serving on the attempted murder. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what have you learned at all in the 24 years, 11 months that you've been incarcerated that would make me or anybody else on the board feel like you're not a danger to society if you're released?
The charge, the attempt second murder, as I say, stipulated one more time, I'm guilty. If I get a second chance to be released back into society, I'm gonna live a productive life, law-abiding citizen, and pay taxes. I never want to come back to this here being incarcerated. It's a dark world, it's a cold world. And I had to walk alone and be by myself because I had people that was involved in my life. They say, Robert, you was wrong for what you done. I say, you're right. And I'm sorry. I apologize. And I never do this here again. What I done was wrong and it was weak. I was in love. If you love somebody, you're not supposed to hurt them.
You think that's what love looks like, shooting somebody?
I was wrong. I was wrong.
But I guess what I'm trying to figure out, it seems like you had some really serious anger issues.
Yes, ma'am, I
Because you
did.
had an aggravated battery that, you hadn't even finished going to court on that when you did this with Miss McNeil. So my
True.
question is, what have you learned specifically in prison that would help you overcome your problem with anger?
What helped me in prison, like
Did
say
you
I,
take anger management classes?
yes, ma'am, I took anger
Tell me
management.
tell me what you learned.
Character counts. I took character counts courses.
Okay, what did you learn from anger management that you can apply to a situation that you might face if you're released?
I learned
What if you fall in love with somebody else and things don't go the way you want them to go?
that's not going to happen
How
because
can you make sure of that? How can you make me feel comfortable
I,
based on what you've learned?
Ms. Jackson, since I've been incarcerated, I have experienced growth mentally and spiritually. I'm not the same person I was 24 years ago. I have God in my life.
Okay,
I didn't have,
Mr. Meads, you said you took anger management, right?
yes, ma'am.
Tell me some of the things they taught you in anger management.
In anger management, I learned not to lay there and get angry. You got to cage the rage that being contained.
How do you do that? Tell me how you do that.
You
What
got to wait.
steps did they give you to do that?
You got to look at the situation. That's the first thing in life. And you got to weigh things out. You got to right from wrong. Say, no, this is not worth it. Walk away. And when you commit a crime or do something negative, it got repercussions behind that. That's what I learned. Repercussions. I don't live like that no more. I don't even think like that to be violent. Like I said, I want to go out there and live a productive life. I'm not the same person I was. I experienced God in my life. He came into my life. I wasn't conscious. I knew of God, but I wasn't conscious because I was doing the opposite. I wasn't living right. I wasn't thinking right. I was not conscious. I was 23. And as I got older through the years, I experienced growth mentally and physically to not do the same thing. I have mother, I have sisters, I have 5 sisters, I have aunties, I have family members that's females. I wouldn't want nobody to do that. Charge I called, I wouldn't want that to happen to them. You know, it's convict me. Because I know where I've been at and what I'm trying to get to. I don't want nobody to do that to my family. I was wrong. I'd never do that again. I never attempt to hurt nobody, male or female. I have family out there. Every time I see something on television or read the newspapers, it hurts me because I was in situations where people who getting caught up and everything, getting arrested, a lot of them ain't thinking straight. I was never on no drugs or no alcohol. I just was a weak man on February 18, 1997. I was a weak man, and what I done, I was wrong. That affected my family, affected her family, and it affected the whole community. People don't even know me. It affected everybody, a ripple effect. I apologize to her family also, because they love her. She's somebody, mother, auntie, sister. She had family. Everybody got love for her. She's a good woman. Marquita was a good woman. She always tried to tell me right from wrong. She was a God-fearing woman. I messed all that up. I lost my household.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Meads. I appreciate the additional information. So thank you very much. Ms. Kelsey,
Miss-
that's all I have.
Thank you. All right, we'll hear from Courtney.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
We
Yes.
can.
Hello, my name is Courtney Sawyer, and I'm speaking on behalf of Robert Meads Jr. I've been knowing Robert all of my life. He's my brother. I've spoken to him numerous times since his incarceration, and I think that he's changed a lot. He was real young when he committed this crime, and he's been gone 24 years, and that's a long time for somebody to get their mind right. I think he's remorseful for the crime that he committed, and I think he deserves a second chance. I would do everything in my power to help him, bring him to get him an apartment, and I'll even let him use one of my vehicles to get around. I just think he deserves a second chance. Thank y'all for letting me speak.
All right, thank you. All right, would you like to make a statement on your behalf, Mr. Meads?
Yes, sir. I appreciate this. This day for having me have the opportunity have this be at this hearing for parole to have a second chance at life. Statement I want to give that I'm sorry and I take responsibility for my actions. Take responsibility for my actions, what took place, and it never should have happened. I was wrong for what I'd done, and if I'm given a second chance at parole, I never lay down, come back prison. I'm gonna go live a conductive life, take care of myself first, and take care of my family, my mother. I don't even have no kids up there. Son, I'm messed up, and it hurts me every day. So, know what? But I'm in here prison for because that wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't in my right mind, state of mind. I messed up, and I know I was wrong. And I ask God all the time to forgive me for my actions. But I know I was wrong. I know I was wrong, and I'm guilty of it.
All right. Yes, sir. All right, thank you. Thank you. Is panel prepared to vote? I'll vote first. Mr. Meach, you look at you've taken a lot of classes, you've done a lot of things. You have worked hard. Jackson got into the letter. Look, I read the entire letter as well. That's, look, you got to take control and take responsibility for what, I mean, we hear you saying it, but you gotta own it. Look, sometimes you might need to retake some classes. It's okay to take anger management again. It's okay to try to get in thinking for a change or living in balance. I mean, those are things that I would recommend you do. Look, my concern is, again, we're talking whether it was one bullet or one shot or three shots or, the crime is a crime, and you've got to own it, take responsibility, and continue to be remorseful. I see you trying, but I'm not prepared to grant you today. My vote would be to deny you today because of law enforcement opposition. I think you still need some more treatment, some more classes, and just keep working hard. If you need to take anger management again, take it again. If you need to, again, take thinking for a change, living in balance, and work on that, work on you, and then maybe it'll be a different result next time. But for me today, I'm voting to deny you parole. Mr. Renatson.
Thank you, Mr. Kelsey. Mr. Meads, I can hear in your voice you're sorry for what happened. I can hear that. I do agree with Mr. Kelsey, though. I think you still have some more work to do. You do have opposition that's been expressed. For those reasons, my vote today is going to be to deny you parole. And I strongly encourage you to keep working and reapply when you're eligible to do so. Hopefully you'll have a different outcome.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Jackson?
Mr. Meads, I'm going to concur with my colleagues. I think you do have some more work to do. I think today was a good step because I think we started breaking down some of your barriers. You know, your case isn't about whether one shot was fired or three. Your case is about you let your anger get so far out of control that you almost kill Miss Neely and you hit a 3-year-old sick boy in the face with a gun. That's the issue, not how many shots were fired. Okay? And you got to come to terms with that. Also, I have concerns about your transition plan. I'm not sure it's very realistic for you to think that you're going to get a small business loan and be able to do all of those, start a business. I don't know that that's a realistic expectation. And I'd like to see you have a plan that's more grounded in what I hate to use the word reality, but in reality, you in all probability, you're not going to get an SBA loan. So then what? What's your plan then? You've got to have something a little bit more tangible than a hope that one day you'll get an SBA loan. So because you don't have a good transition plan, and because I think you need some additional work on your issues, my vote today is to deny as well. But I wish you luck. Keep working. Reapply when you're eligible.
Ma'am.
All right, there's 3 votes to deny your parole. Your parole's been denied. Good luck to you.
Man, I am so thankful that Miss Jackson took this case because, the way the questions were initially going, it was just, oh, whatever, what's the big deal? Then Miss Jackson comes in and she goes into the details. And we're going to review the court transcripts and how vicious this was. And then we're going to watch his next parole hearing, which takes place just a year later. I haven't seen the results of it yet, but my God, I hope that he is not released. The idea that he goes into a hospital and puts his arms around her, and when he shoots her and a 3-year-old, not to mention a sickly 3-year-old, comes to soothe his mother and he hits the 3-year-old, that man never can be set free again. Not to mention that it shows just how clueless he is and dangerous because of that he sends Miss Renatza a letter just this year saying, I only shot her once, the doctor lied. Like Miss Jackson said, who cares? Who cares? The idea that someone like this can be walking about, and the words he used, I loved her. That is it just adds, if you need to add to it, emphasis of how dangerous he is. There are people that take lives of people who they claim they love all the time because they're so sick. They're so obsessed. On February 18th, 1997, she was visiting her son. She's visiting her 3-year-old son, who was being treated for meningitis. While in the hospital room with her minor child, the defendant beat Miss Neely about the head and shot her. He was arrested at the hospital grounds after fleeing the scene. Because he loved her. That's why. He loved her. The state witnesses, and to say that at your parole hearing all these years later, but I loved her. The state witnesses included the victim, 4 eyewitnesses, and who were hotel employees at the time of the incident. Miss Neely testified she remained with her son continuously over a 6-week period of hospitalization. The poor thing. She had lived with the defendant prior to the hospitalization, but considered the relationship to have ended. Miss Neely had instructed the nurses to prohibit the defendant from visiting her son because he was not the child's father. On the date of the incident, the defendant visited Miss Neely twice. First arrived in the morning, but was escorted from the building by a security guard. He returned to the hospital room in early afternoon with a gun. Upon returning, the defendant pulled the gun out of his pocket. Miss Neely struggled to escape, but the defendant grabbed her. She was struck several times in the head with the gun. She broke free and ran into the hallway. The defendant grabbed her again and dragged her back into the hospital room. Miss Neely's son was present. The struggle resumed, and she was struck several times in the head with the gun. She broke free and ran. He grabbed her again and dragged her back into the room. Her 3-year-old's there the whole time. The struggle resumed, and the defendant began pulling the gun's trigger. Miss Neely was on the floor while the defendant stood over her. The defendant shot Miss Neely at least twice. It even says it here that she was shot at least twice. Unbelievable. The defendant also pointed the gun to Miss Neely's head, but the gun then jammed as he pulled the trigger. Why is he up for parole? I'm sorry, but why is he up for parole? Is it because of Act 122? Yep. That's unbelievable. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure. She finally broke free again and ran down the hall and screamed that she had been shot. Her injuries were not life-threatening. Mr. Hall testified that he was visiting a friend on the 5th floor when he saw people running for help. Mr. Hall was told that a man was jumping on a woman. He entered the room and saw the defendant with a gun in his left hand holding a woman by the head in a headlock position. The defendant held a clip in the other hand. The woman struggled to break free. Mr. Hall asked the defendant to stop the attack. Instead of stopping, the defendant placed the clip in the gun. Mr. Hall left the room and warned the nurses. When he was approximately 8 feet away from the room, he heard shots. They go through all of the different witnesses. It's just unbelievable. He's a monster. There's nothing short of it. He's an absolute monster. I mean, he went to a jury trial and he was sentenced to 50 years. So it wasn't even a life sentence. And is that the maximum for attempted second degree? I guess so. I don't know why he couldn't get a life sentence. It's interesting. In the appeal, he argues that this was his first felony, although he was pending he just wasn't convicted yet. And then they convicted him and made sure to get the extra sentence. They wanted to keep him locked up. We can go through the different witness accounts, but I think what we'll do is we'll go through that after we watch the next hearing. So we can go through the accounts because there's quite a lot in here. So let's watch the next hearing and then maybe. Oh, and before I forget, before we jump into this next hearing, not a very smart look to come in with an attorney who's representing you in a lawsuit while in prison. That's just like, if you want to talk about bad moves, that made no sense. I wonder the way that it looked like he had no idea that she was going to say that either. I think that caught him by right field. Man, you don't show up to a parole hearing throwing out there, by the way, we're suing the DOC. And in case you have questions about it, here's my attorney. The guy is pretty clueless, but okay. So let's jump back into his second hearing. And here we go.
She'll be here as well on camera. All right, Robert Meads, DOC number 395-867. You are a first-class offender. Parole eligibility day 8/1/2021. Good time 2/24/2046. Full term 2/19/2047. 50-year sentence. Attempted second-degree murder. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Would you answer Mr. Marabell's questions, please?
Good morning, Mr. Meads. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Meads, how old are you, sir?
50 years old, sir.
And how long have you been in prison on these charges?
26 years and 7 months.
So you were about 24 when this happened?
23 years old and 5 months.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about Mr. Meads at 23 years old. How far had you gone in school?
11th grade.
Why'd you stop in the 11th grade?
I had to work and go support my family. I was hard on my mother. You know, I grew up in a household without father, and it was hard on my mother. And I went work Mr. Dewey. I was moved from Thibodeau to Libertyville, and Mr. Dewey had a mulch gin. And my family, we was, you know, financial crisis, rent, and, you know, barely had food in the house. So I went and worked.
How old were you when you quit school?
17.
Okay, and you worked till you were 23 when this happened. Tell me about your work history. Did you work the same job all that time?
No, sir. I worked at Trico Marine in Terrebonne Parish,
Okay.
Patterson Pipeline, testing pipes.
How long did you do that?
Like 3 years, 3.5 years, 4 years.
Were drugs and alcohol ever an issue with you?
No, sir. I never used drugs a day in my life. I don't even smoke.
You
I drink on special occasions.
Was alcohol at all involved in this case?
No, sir.
Tell me, Mr. Meads, what went on February the 18th of 1997? First off, tell me, who is Miss Margarita Neely? What is her relationship to you, or what was her relationship to you?
Me and Marquita, we met in 1996. Was together a year when I was arrested and convicted. Got arrested.
Well, let's don't jump ahead of ourselves, okay? So
Yes.
tell me, what was the relationship in 1997 between you and Miss Neely?
She was my girlfriend, and we split up.
How long were y'all living together?
Yes, sir.
And when did you start living together?
In 1996 of February.
Okay. Now, in February of 1997, when this happened, were y'all still living together?
Yes, sir. She was at the hospital with her son.
Okay. Now, that's not your son?
No, sir.
Okay. So tell me what happened.
Me and her had a relationship, and I was messing around with other women, and her son got sick. And while her son was in the hospital, he had spinal meningitis. And she was there 24 hours a day. And I used to go over there to the hospital and stay overnight. But I was having a relationship with other women, messing over Marquita with other women, which I was wrong for. Because this lady, her son is in the hospital and sick. And I was at the hospital with her, but I wasn't supposed to be messing around with no other women. I was supposed to be there assisting them. And I went against what I was supposed to be doing. As
I hear all that. You're not charged with messing around with all these other women. You're charged with bringing a gun to the hospital, hitting the baby in the head with the gun, and shooting Miss Marguerite. So tell me how that happened. Tell me how your infidelity caused you to shoot her and hit the baby.
I was self-centered. I went to the hospital and I wasn't thinking. I let my emotions get the best of me.
Let me stop you. Number one, why'd you go to the hospital with a gun?
I wasn't thinking at the time, and I went.
Well, what were you were thinking about something, you picked up a gun. What the heck were you doing with a gun?
My feelings got involved, and I went to the hospital and shot her. I take responsibility for that.
Stop. You're messing around on your girlfriend with other women, and your feelings got upset, and you get a gun and go to the hospital? That don't make sense to me.
It's mind-boggling, sir. It's very mind-boggling.
You weren't drinking, you weren't doing drugs?
No, sir.
So what did she do that got you so mad that you had to bring a gun to the hospital and go shoot her?
She didn't do nothing. She she said, I'm going on with my life. I'm going back to Florida. And I let my feelings get the best of me.
So she gonna break up with you?
Yes, sir.
You understood what was going on.
That's what took place.
So when did y'all have that discussion?
Like 2 to 3 weeks before this, it took place.
How long was her son in the hospital?
Sir, he was there 24 hours a day.
I understand that. How long had he been in the hospital when this happened?
About in December or January.
So he was in the hospital when y'all had this discussion about her wanting to leave you?
Yes, sir.
Whose house was it? Or whose apartment was it?
It was my house where we were staying, and I just had bought a trailer house.
So she told you she wanted you out, or she wanted to leave you?
Yes, sir. She said she was
You
going
got
back.
you got mad about that.
Yes, sir.
Where'd you get the gun from?
I had a gun. It was mine.
And so tell me what you had in mind. You went to the hospital every day to go visit
Yes, sir.
her and the son?
We never got into it before this. This here took place like 2 days before.
Okay. So tell me what happened, what it is that caused you on that day in the hospital to shoot her and hit the little boy with a gun.
I called her and I told her that I wasn't going to mess around with her no more. She said, the decision is fine. I'm going on with my life. I'm going back to Florida. And I didn't think about what I was doing. I just left from the house. My mama was asleep. My whole family was asleep. If my family knew that I was going to do this here, they would have called the people on their cell phone me and had me lock up. This here wouldn't take place. But I didn't tell nobody about this here. I left from the house and I went and to the hospital, went up the elevators, and I went to the hospital and she was in the room and I shot her. We started arguing. She was saying, get out the room. You're not supposed to be here. And I said, I just come here to talk to you. And she said, no, get out. I don't want to see you no more. I don't have no relationship with you no more. It's over. Then she called, they had a nurse came in there in the room. And
They kicked you out
yes, sir.
and you came back.
No, yes, sir. That's what took place.
Why did you come back?
I just came back. I wasn't thinking, and I was wrong for not coming back because I wasn't supposed to
Where
go
did you
back.
go when they kicked you out? How far did you leave?
That was like 2 hours before. And I went home and I left and I went walk around the neighborhood.
Is that when you got the gun?
No, sir. I didn't go that morning to do her no type of harm.
You had a gun with you when you went that morning?
No, sir.
So you got the gun after they kicked you out of the hospital to go back over there and confront her.
Yes, sir. That's what took place.
So now that you've been in jail for 27, almost 27 years, have you given any thought to what you did and why you did it?
Yes, sir.
Well, tell me why you did it.
I was wrong. Nobody
Nobody questions that.
It was senseless.
Everybody agrees with that.
I take accountability and I take full responsibility for what I.
Those are words. What have you thought about what made you do that on that particular day? You said you don't drink, you didn't do drugs, You got mental issues? You
No,
ever had
sir.
any mental problems?
Just the heat of passion. I was weak. I was young, and I wasn't thinking about the consequences. Everything is built upon consequences. The world was built on penalties, and I'm paying the ultimate penalty right now because I'm guilty. I violated the laws of the state of Louisiana. I violated her family, and the community. It was a ripple effect on everybody in Terrebonne Parish. And I want to apologize to everybody in Terrebonne Parish. I'm not the same person I was 26 years and 7 months ago. I'm a different person. I have Christ in my life now. I went through all courses, anger management, living in balance, victim awareness. I took that 3 times.
Tell me about your awareness. What do you think your crime did to this lady and her son?
Traumatized. That's what took place.
Mr. Meads, you're a first offender, but you got a pretty significant criminal record. You've got charges of criminal mischief, misrepresentation during booking, simple escape. You've got charges for contempt of court, misrepresentation during booking. You've got illegal use of weapons or other dangerous instrumentality, disturbing the peace by intoxication, aggravated battery, simple criminal damage to property, another simple criminal damage to property, resisting arrest by flight, aggravated battery. You've got a pretty significant criminal history, even though you haven't been convicted of a lot of things. Tell me why all the violence and all of the criminality.
I was young and I made poor decisions in my life. And I'm sorry for all these charges that I was arrested on. It affected my family also all the time because my mom used to had to come and get me out of jail. My family members, ripple effect. They used to tell me to not, get caught up in activities, stop doing the things I'm doing, but I didn't listen. I had a strong support in family, but I went against what I was taught. Adolescent, but I'm not the same person I was those years, many years ago. I'm different. I have Christ in my life, spiritually and mentally. I experienced growth.
Now, you were denied in January of 2022, a little over a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. What have you done since then? What programs have you taken since your last denial?
Thanking for a change.
What did you learn in thanking for a change?
Thanking for a change is built upon building up character. For you to have character, you got to have a strong structure in life. It's cemented on solid grounds. And that's what you need to survive in this world, to be living a righteous life. And that's what I learned from the course of living in balance. Because you got to have a strong foundation and structure. If you don't have no strong foundation and structure, everything will fall. First of all,
programs have you taken besides thanking for a change?
Anger management. Anger management is built.
What did you learn about your anger? How are you going to control your anger?
How to control my anger? Anger consists of triggers emotions.
What are your triggers?
Misunderstood emotions. That's what anger consists of. Misunderstood.
What are your triggers for anger?
To not get into no heated conflicts or debates. Dealing with life, you got to think about the situation before you carry out actions, which is negative.
I understand. Those are the kind of the rules you learn. What things get you angry? What makes you angry?
I don't get angry no more because I think about the situations before you weigh everything out. Dealing with situations, if a conflict occurs, you got to be the better man and say, if you right or wrong, intentionally or non-intentionally, I'm sorry. You take responsibilities. You got to do an inventory
You
check.
learned some good things. I'm trying to get you to tell me how you're gonna put those things in action. You get out again, and you get mad at somebody. And don't tell me, oh, look, I took anger management, so I ain't gonna get mad no more. You're gonna get angry. My question is, how are you personally gonna be able to handle that?
I will be able to handle
Before you
it.
get to that threshold that you're gonna act.
I will be able to handle this here because I have knowledge. I have wisdom now. The growth. I'm not gonna do no crimes and all that. If this board give me a second chance and opportunity, I'm not gonna be a statistic of coming back to no prison. I'm rehabilitated. My record speaks for me itself. I'm a model prisoner that overcame a lot of hurdles. And I ask God to let him script me up every day. I'm not going to go out there and reoffend and get caught up again. I got a strong support as my family. I'm gonna be around solid people that's for my best interest at heart. And I'm a stronger person now. I'm not young no more.
Where are you gonna be living at?
I'm gonna be staying with my brother. My brother's name is Mr. Rontrell Kelly.
In Houma?
Yes, sir.
Where are you gonna be working?
True Scope. True Scope is a tank cleaning service in Golden Meadow, but the yard is in Fouchon, Louisiana, by Grand Isle.
Have you had any substance abuse treatment? I mean, you tell me you don't have any alcohol problem, but you've got several charges in the past that involve alcohol.
I took AA courses in here. The 12 steps.
What did you learn about the 12 steps?
That you got to walk humbly with God. He the only one can lay there and remove your shortcomings and everything. You got to admit to yourself, to another human being.
You've memorized very well. My question to you is, what are your triggers to get you to drink? And don't tell me, oh, I don't drink much, because you got a record.
Yeah, that was years ago. The past is old. This is new. I'm not going to drink no more. No malt liquor. That's what I used to drink. I'm not going to do that no more. I'm going to be surrounding myself around positive people. I have been incarcerated 26 years and 7 months. A lot of friends I had, they didn't disappear out my life that I used to associate with. I'm not going to associate with nobody and be surrounded by my family. I got nieces and nephews out there that's waiting on me. They always ask me, Uncle Robert, when you coming home? I say, I don't know. I'm waiting on to get a second chance to go up on parole or through the courts. I will do right.
Gordon, what can you tell us about Mr. Meads?
Mr. Meads.
I know.
Different.
He's talking to me now.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I understand.
All right. Good morning, Mr. McMillan. I tell you, he's a Pride member. His last write-up low court was 2020. His last high court was 2015. I really don't. He's been here since 2012, but he's pretty quiet. I mean, I really don't know much about him, and being here that long, that's kind of rare that I don't really know much about him. But so he's been staying out of trouble here lately.
All right, we
I
have,
got a question.
okay, Mr. Burwise.
Mr. Meads, I saw where you got a certificate that said you were at the Victim Awareness Week, Survivor Voices, April the 23rd through the 29th of 2023. So what did you do to get that certificate?
I went to the course I was in, REAL. That's the program we take. REAL is dealing with rehabilitation equals excellent accountability living.
So what did you do at the at this event?
The event was in a chapel, and had people that demonstrated, and they talk about their lifestyle, dealing with the negative and where they are right now.
It was about lifestyle. It wasn't about victims and survivors.
Yeah, that's what I mean to say. But the victim is the victim's day. That's what it's all about, the victim's day. And I heard testimonies of people that went through a lot of stuff and about the victims in their case,
Now, when you said you heard testimonies, were the victims actually there sharing their stories?
No, sir. The victims, there was supposed to be some people come off the streets. I mean, from a free world, but they didn't come because
Okay.
something took place.
Because of
But
what?
something took place out there.
Okay, okay.
The inmates, different inmates that was over the course, they was talking about where the victims in their case and what took place, and some of them sons had died, and they wasn't out there for they sons. The sons were crying out saying, "Daddy, where you are? I need you. You're not here."
Okay,
I heard
okay.
so many testimonies from different people and the victims in their case, and it convicted me because I know what took place with me, and I felt the pain of what everybody went through and going through. I was convicted by this here, and I shed tears because this here touched me also. That's what the course was about that we took. It was about
Wonder, what was your role? Okay, thank you for
All
answering
right,
that.
we're here for Mr. Juan Wilson. Mr. Wanahead, we can't hear you. We'll hear from Mr. Daryl Miles now.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I hear you now. Brief statement, quick statement. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my name is Shawana Wilson. I'm here on behalf of Robert Charles Mead. I've known Robert for over 20 years, and I've seen the growth and maturity in him since he's been incarcerated. He and I together have a beautiful combined family, and we intended to get married. And I will be helping Mr. Mead mentally and emotionally to transition back into society and to help him remain a productive citizen in the society. And I know with God, nothing is impossible. So I'm asking y'all respectively, could y'all please give Mr. Robert Mead a second chance and allow him to have his freedom? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Mr. Daryl Miles, brief statement. Got you on mute too.
Still muted.
Yeah, you still on mute. Yeah.
Can't hear you.
No, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. We're gonna, we know first 72, you're gonna you're gonna supply some wraparound services for him and you'll support him. We can't hear you. Yeah, we can't hear you. All right, let's go back to Mr. Robert Meads. Mr. Robert, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I'd like to say thank you for this board and its members giving me an opportunity to have this parole date. And I thank y'all for everything y'all done. I'd like to apologize to the parish of Terrebonne Parish, the victim, her family, my family, and the community. Everybody went through this ripple effect. And I like the victim to know that I'm sorry and I take full responsibility for my actions. The mental and the physical pain I inflicted upon you and your son was unrighteousness. It was unlawful. And nobody deserved to go through what they went through. Because I don't want nobody to inflict no physical pain upon my mother, my sisters, my nieces, and nephew. Nobody, because it's wrong, especially dealing with a relationship that goes bad. I advise everybody that go through a domestic violence to leave, depart if things ain't working right between the person and the spouse, because triggers can lay there and lead to somebody getting hurt, everybody getting hurt, because everybody go through this here, and it's not worth it. No man doing no wrong to no woman, mentally and abuse. That's traumatized. So
Yes, sir.
That's what I
All right,
say.
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your comment. Thank you, sir. Panel prepared to vote, Mr. Barbella.
You know, Mr. Meads, this is a horrible crime. I mean, you took a gun to a hospital and shot a woman. You hit a baby with a gun. You know, I'm looking at your record, and I know you struggled with your high SED and you struggled with your education, and I realize that. And I think in preparing for this hearing, you thought it was important for you to come up with some sound bites that we think are important. I want to know where you're coming from, you know, and I'm not sure where that is. But what I do believe that I've gained from you is that you don't think you have any sort of a drinking problem, and you do. Whether you want to admit that or not, you were arrested on a number of occasions for alcohol-related offenses. You say you're not going to drink anymore. I've heard alcoholics say that forever. I'll never drink again. I'll never drink again. I'll never drink again. I think you need some substance abuse treatment, something more significant than what you've already got, and perhaps maybe look into a mental health aspect of that as well. I'm just not prepared to grant you today. I think you need a little more work. So my vote today is going to be to deny you, but to suggest and hope that you can get some substance abuse treatment, maybe with some mental health components to it. It might help you understand that you do have a substance abuse problem that needs to be addressed before you can get out. So I'm just one vote, but that's my vote.
Ms. Wise?
Mr. Meads, until you clearly understand what happened that day, you could possibly repeat it. And I also would like to see you're a Pride member, start doing some community service around the institution. Start giving back, volunteering somehow or another. And I'm not willing to take a chance on you today either. You like an insight to the offense, and severity of the offense is just very concerning. And with the way you presented today, you do have a transition plan in place. And you have, not getting any write-ups, but just some more insight as to what really happened. Best wishes to you, sir.
Right, you have 2 votes to deny. I'm also going to vote to deny your parole for the same reasons as stated. 3 votes to deny. Today, your parole's been denied. Good luck to you.
All right, thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Man, am I glad that he got denied. You never know. We've seen enough parole hearings where you would assume that he's going to get denied, but you just don't know. It's interesting that he's able to apply in such a short amount of time. I mean, I guess almost like every year he's going to keep applying, but it's almost like he has no idea why he's getting denied. He doesn't know, and I think they stated that well. The parole board did. It's like he's rehearsed words to say, quotes, and it's like very apparent. And he's just, I think he just lacks insight. It's another example of someone who probably is antisocial and just doesn't understand how people perceive him, doesn't understand of what he actually did, how terrible it is. And these type of crimes, someone who, she viewed his stepson as his son, and they weren't even, I don't think, dating that long. His like obsession over her, and when I say viewed, I mean he was calling him his son in these like parole hearings at times, and I thought that was just odd. And we find out in this hearing that he's with other women. It's terrifying. And I think he's got like another 15 years on his sentence or something, and he's about 50 years old now, so he could be in his 60s by the time he gets out, and that's still too young. That's still it's only a matter of time, like the parole board saying you're gonna get into another relationship, and then when it doesn't work out, and that woman who's there oh my gosh, run. Really, you have to say, how is it possible? What draws you to want to Be with the man who has done this. Not to mention he's locked. Like I just what? Name something that can justify that relationship. I it's beyond understanding. It's beyond logic. It's beyond any. I can't understand it. Uh, and then of course you have, you know, our good friend who's it's kind of like the Parole Project, same deal. You know, they just view them as clients and money. Hey, if you can get out, then I'll get paid. It's like, are you serious? You're really gonna risk anyone's life so that you can make a few bucks by standing up and talking for him? It's just madness. Here's the one part of the that we did not discuss in the last hearing out of his appeal. And this shows that Nurse Carlos testified that a nurse called for help because Marquita Neely was being beaten. Ms. Carlos shoved against the door of the room where the incident occurred. She was only able to open it slightly. However, she was able to observe Miss Neely lying on the floor with the defendant bending over her and beating her. So she's outside the hospital room and she's like trying to push it open. And when she's doing that, she sees him doing that. The baby, remember the baby. The baby was in the room. Miss Carlos jumped on the defendant's back. You know, she's fighting back. And the defendant shoved Miss Carlos against the door. The poor baby screamed from the corner of the room and tried to get to his mother. And I just can't. I just can't. The defendant punched the baby in the mouth. I'm sorry, this man should never be free, period. Miss Carlos tried to get the baby out of the room, but was unsuccessful. Nurse Carlos called for security, and Mr. Hall came to assist her. After Nurse Carlos was shoved, she noticed a gun in the defendant's hand. She saw the defendant shoot Miss Neely around the breast area. Miss Carlos went into another room. She heard the gunshots, but could not recall the number. After it became quiet, she returned to the room to the screaming baby. At that time, she noticed that the baby was bleeding. When she testified that the baby was bleeding, so now she was brought to the stand, defense counsel objected and asked that the jury be removed. Then, outside the presence of the jury, he moved for a mistrial. And this is an interesting point. He moved for a mistrial because, on the basis that the alleged battery of the child was other crime evidence not admissible because he argued it was not an integral part of the prosecution or I don't know what that word is. He further argued that prejudicial effect cannot be cured by an admonishment of the jury. So basically saying this wasn't even part of the charge. He was never being charged with, for whatever reason, the DAs didn't want to charge him for what he did to the child, which I don't know why, but they just didn't want to. For some reason, I don't know how DAs come up with these things. But thank goodness the judge said no. It's part of the trial judge ruled that the testimony was admissible, concluding that the fact released through the testimony formed as part of the continuous series of events. Because it was part of the events, it was admissible. Why didn't you charge him with that? Add more years to his sentence, you know? But, you know, I guess when they're giving the sentence, they're like 50-year sentence. They said, well, that's pretty long, you know, that's a pretty long sentence. Let's see, he was sentenced in 1990 to 1997. That's just 26 years. So he's got another 25 years. So he'll be in his late 70s when he gets out. He's got like I was wrong. He's got like another 25 years on his sentence. Still old enough, but I mean, young enough to still do some damage. But How do you feel about this? I think it's terrifying. It's just you. I don't need to reiterate it, but thank you, Richard, for sharing the information and lining it all up, and thank you all for being here. And hold your loved ones tight. And with that, I'll let you go.